Captain stood on the bridge of the Persistence, staring at the empty space ahead. His ship was small compared to the massive vessels of the Galactic Council. The aliens called it a survey ship, but knew what they really meant. They gave humans the safest, most boring jobs because they thought humans were too weak for anything else. "Station 3 coming up, Captain," said from the engineering console. Her fingers moved across the controls with practiced ease. "Same as the last two. Old, abandoned, nothing worth taking." Nodded. 3 weeks they had been out here in the outer veil, checking old mining stations that nobody cared about anymore. The council said it was important work. Knew better. This was busy work, the kind of job you gave to someone you didn't trust with real responsibility. "Run the scans anyway," said. "Let's make sure there are no surprises." Park looked up from her medical station. "You think we'll find anything different this time?" "Probably not," admitted. "But we follow the procedures. That's what separates us from—" An alarm cut through his words. Sung's hands flew across the security panel. "Captain, I'm picking up a distress signal. Strong 1-2. Felt his heart rate pick up. "From where?" 2 million kilometers away. It's council frequency." His face went pale. "Sir, it's the Eternal Conquest." The bridge went silent. Everyone knew that name. The Eternal Conquest was the flagship of the warrior fleet. They were 7 feet tall with natural armor plating that could stop bullets. Their ships were the strongest in the council. If something could hurt them, it could crush the Persistence like an empty can. "What's attacking them?" asked. Worked the controls, his jaw tight. "Unknown signatures, dozens of them. Wait. The computer is matching them to old records. Captain, it's the Void Swarm." Gasped. Even stopped working. The Void Swarm was a legend, a nightmare that had destroyed entire civilizations before the Council even existed. Most species thought they were extinct or just stories to scare young ones. "Get me a visual," ordered. The main screen flickered to life. Saw the Eternal Conquest floating dead in space, dark holes torn in its hull. Small black shapes swarmed around it like insects around a dying animal. As he watched, one of the shapes fired a bright beam that cut into the ship's armor. "Life signs?" asked. "Detecting 347, reported. "Down from a normal crew of 500. Captain, their life support is failing. They have maybe 2 hours." The communication system crackled. "Attention all Council vessels. This is Council Central Command. The Void Swarm has been confirmed in Sector 779. All ships are ordered to retreat to defensive positions immediately. Repeat, all ships retreat. Do not engage." Looked at the screen. 2 hours. The nearest Council fleet was at least 4 hours away, even at maximum speed. "Captain," said quietly, "we should follow orders. We're not a warship. We have 1 plasma cannon and basic shields. We can't fight those things." "I know," said. He kept staring at the dying ship on the screen. "They have escape pods," added. "They can evacuate." "Look at the debris field," pointed. "Those black chunks, those are escape pods. The swarm is targeting them first." The bridge fell silent again. On the screen, another escape pod launched from the Eternal Conquest. A swarm drone immediately changed course and fired. The pod exploded in a brief flash of light. His communication panel beeped. A new message appeared, this one directed specifically at the Persistence. "Human vessel, this is Council Central Command. You are ordered to retreat immediately. Your species cannot help in this situation. Preserve yourselves. That is an order." Read the message over his shoulder. "They're not wrong, Captain. What can we do?" Thought about the council meetings he had attended. The way the other species looked at humans with a mix of curiosity and pity. Humans were short-lived, fragile, weak. They had no natural weapons, no armor, no special abilities. The council had debated for months whether to even let humans join. Some species had voted against it, saying humans would just get themselves killed. Maybe they were right. Maybe this was suicide. but thought about something else too. He thought about the old stories from Earth, the ones his grandmother used to tell. Stories about people who faced impossible odds and fought anyway, not because they could win, but because it was the right thing to do. Said, "Can we get there in time?" His fingers moved across her console. "If we push the engines to 120%, yes, barely. That'll burn out half our systems," warned. "I know," looked at his crew. "I'm not ordering anyone to do this." The council said to retreat. "They're probably right. We're not warriors. We're not built for this. But there are 347 people on that ship who are going to die if nobody helps them." Stood up, "I'm in." "Me too," said. Smiled. "Someone has to keep you all alive. I'm in." Felt something tight in his chest loosen. He had the best crew in the human fleet. Plot a course. Maximum speed. Charge the plasma cannon and get the shields online. Prepare the medical bay for patients. "Yes, sir," they answered together. The Persistence turned, its engines flaring bright blue. On the Council Observation Network, alarms started going off. The human ship wasn't retreating. It was heading straight toward the swarm. In the council chambers, species from across the galaxy watched in confusion. "What are the humans doing?" one asked. "They must not understand the danger," another replied. But a very few, wondered if maybe the humans understood something the rest of them had forgotten. The Persistence accelerated, pushing past safe limits, racing toward a battle it had no chance of winning. And on the bridge, Captain sat in his chair and thought about his grandmother's stories. The ones that always ended the same way. Heroes weren't the people who were strong enough to win. Heroes were the people who fought anyway, even when they knew they would lose. "Time to contact?" asked. 37 minutes, replied. Nodded. 37 minutes until they found out if humans really belonged in the galaxy, or if the Council had been right about them all along. The Persistence flew on through the dark, a small light rushing toward the storm. The Persistence dropped out of high speed just outside the battle zone, gripped his chair as the ship shook from the sudden deceleration. He could see the eternal conquest up close now. It looked worse than he had imagined. "Swarm drones are changing course," reported. "They've noticed us." "How many?" asked. 12 breaking off from the main group. The rest are still attacking the conquest. Made a quick decision. "Put us between those drones and the conquest. Fire at will. We need to buy them time." The Persistence moved forward. Its single plasma cannon fired, bright bolts of energy shooting across space. The first shot hit a drone and the black machine exploded in a shower of sparks, but 11 more were coming. "Shields at 40%, called out. "Those things hit hard." The ship rocked as drone weapons impacted the shields. Warning lights flashed across every console. Kept firing, taking down 2 more drones, but the others were getting closer. "Captain, incoming transmission from the Conquest," said. "Put it through." A face appeared on the screen. His armor was scorched and green blood stained his uniform. "Human ship, this is Commander of the Eternal Conquest. What are you doing here? The Council ordered all ships to retreat." "We received those orders," replied as the ship shook again. "We chose to ignore them." Stared at him. You came back for us, but your ship is barely armed. You will die here." "Maybe," said, "but not before we help you. What's your status?" Seemed too shocked to argue. "Main engines are destroyed. Life support is failing. We have maybe 90 minutes of air left. Our engineering crew tried to make repairs, but the radiation levels in the engine room are too high. Even with our armor, we can only survive 10 minutes of exposure before cellular breakdown begins." Leaned toward, "Captain, I might have an idea." "I'm listening." "Humans are different from. We evolved on a planet with higher radiation. Our cells have repair mechanisms that other species don't have. Cancer protection, DNA repair enzymes. We won't last forever, but we might last long enough." was already running calculations. She's right. A human could survive 30, maybe 40 minutes in those conditions before serious damage, if we work in shifts. You want to go into their engine room, interrupted. But you're humans. You're the most fragile species in the council. Almost smiled. Yeah, we get that a lot. Commander, can you get us docking clearance? Looked at his crew off-screen, then back at, Bay 7 is still pressurized, but the swarm drones. We'll handle them, just be ready. Cut the transmission. Clear us a path, dock this ship, get the medical bay ready. I have a feeling we're going to need it. The next 10 minutes were chaos. The Persistence fired everything it had, destroying 4 more drones while taking heavy damage. Shields dropped to 15%. The hull breach alarm went off twice, but managed to guide the ship into the Eternal Conquest's docking bay. The moment they were secure, grabbed her equipment. I'll need 2 people from engineering. Mean you and are the best we have. I'm coming too, said. Captain, you should stay on the ship. Not a chance, stood up. You have the bridge. If things go bad, undock and get out of here. Shook his head. With respect, sir, we're not leaving without you. Wanted to argue, but he saw the look in his eyes. The same look the whole crew had. They had come this far together. They would see it through together. The group met Commander in the Conquest's corridor. The warrior towered over them, his armor making him look even bigger. Behind him stood 20 more, all watching the humans with expressions couldn't quite read. The engine room is this way, said. I must warn you again, the radiation. We understand the risks, said. She pulled out a handheld scanner. Show us the damage. Led them to a sealed door. Through a thick window, they could see the engine room. Warning lights bathed everything in red. Studied the readings on her scanner and went pale. That's worse than I thought. We'll need to replace 3 conduits and repair the main reactor coupling. In that radiation field, each person can work for maybe 10 minutes before they need to come out. Mean you did the math. That's 17 trips minimum. Then we better get started, said. Had already set up a medical station in the corridor. I can treat radiation sickness between shifts. It won't be pleasant, but I can keep you functional. The first shift was in Minu. They sealed their suits and entered the engine room. Watched through the window as they worked, their movements quick and precise. Every second counted. At 9 minutes, they stumbled out. Minu was already vomiting into his helmet. Rushed forward with injections, her hands steady despite the urgency. How bad? Asked. Bad enough, said, but they'll recover. Give them 20 minutes. And another engineer went in next. Then again, then himself. The radiation was like being inside a furnace. His skin prickled, his head pounded. The dosimeter on his suit screamed warnings, but he kept working, replacing the conduit section that had marked. When he came out at 10 minutes, his hands were shaking. Caught him as his legs gave out. Easy, Captain. The anti-radiation meds are fighting it, but you need to rest. Looked around. The corridor was filling with warriors, all standing silently, watching. Word had spread through the ship. The humans were saving them. Shift after shift, they went in. Each time a little sicker, a little weaker. Worked without stopping, mixing medications, monitoring vital signs, pushing the humans back into the fight as soon as they could stand. Commander watched it all. At one point he spoke quietly too. Why are you doing this? Your council ordered you to flee. You owe us nothing. My species voted against allowing humans into the council. Was waiting for his next shift, fighting the nausea. I know, we heard about that vote. Then why? Because it's the right thing to do. Stood up, legs wobbly. And because maybe we're trying to show you that strength isn't just about armor and weapons. Sometimes strength is about doing what needs to be done, even when it's killing you. Had no answer for that. On the 17th shift made the final connection. The engines hummed to life. Power flooded back through the ship. Life support stabilized. stumbled out of the engine room and collapsed, caught her, feeling his own strength nearly gone. "Did we do it?" whispered. "You did it," said. "You saved them all." Around them, the warriors stood in silence. Then, slowly, Commander removed his helmet. His crew did the same. In culture, removing your helmet in front of another was the highest sign of respect. "I have fought for 60 years, said. "I have won 1,000 battles, but I have never seen anything like what I witnessed today. You humans, you are not what we thought." Managed a weak smile. "We get that a lot too." An alarm sounded. His voice came through the communication system. "Captain, we have a problem. The swarm has noticed what we did. There's a carrier heading our way. It's launching attack drones, a lot of them." Looked at his exhausted crew. They could barely stand. The Persistence was damaged. They had done the impossible once. Now they would have to do it again. Pushed himself up, ignoring the screaming pain in his muscles. His whole body felt like it was on fire from the radiation exposure, but there was no time to rest. "How many drones?" he asked into his communicator. 200, replied. "Maybe more. Captain, you need to get back to the ship, now." Looked at his crew, could barely keep her eyes open. Minyu was leaning against the wall, his skin gray, had blood running from her nose. They had given everything they had. Commander stepped forward. "Captain, we can fight now. The Eternal Conquest can provide cover while your ship escapes. You have saved us. Let us return the favor." "Your engines are barely working," said. "You can't run and you can't fight at full strength." "Neither can you," pointed out. "Your ship is a survey vessel. You have 1 cannon, we have 50. The logical choice is clear. You run, we fight. Some of us survive." Shook his head. "There's another option." "What option?" "We all survive." Started walking toward the docking bay, his crew following. "I'm coming back to the bridge. Get our weapons online, whatever we have left." "Sir, we barely have shields. The hull is breached in 3 sections. 1 good hit and we're done." "Then we don't get hit." Made it back to the Persistence and collapsed into his captain's chair. Every part of him hurt. Had given him enough anti-radiation medication to keep him functional, but he knew he would pay for this later, if there was a later. "Captain," said softly, "you should know. The crew is in bad shape. We all took heavy radiation doses. We need proper medical care soon or the damage will be permanent." "How long do we have?" "Hours, maybe a day if we're lucky." Nodded. "Then we better make this quick. Can you move the ship?" Was back at her engineering station, her fingers shaking over the controls. "Engines are at 60%. It'll have to be enough." On the swarm carrier appeared. It was massive, 10 times the size of the Eternal Conquest. Drones poured from it like a swarm of angry insects, black shapes against the stars. 200 became 300. 300 became 400. "They're not stopping," said. "Captain, we can't fight that many." Studied the screen. His mind was racing, trying to find an angle, any advantage. The swarm was powerful, but they fought in predictable patterns. They always went for the biggest threat first. They used overwhelming force. They never retreated. An idea formed. It was crazy. It was desperate, but it was all they had. "Are you listening?" asked through the communication link. "Yes, Captain." "I need you to do something that's going to seem insane. I need you to shut down all your weapons. Make your ship look dead." There was a long pause. "You want us to be defenseless?" "Trust me, the swarm targets threats. If you look dead, they'll ignore you and focus on us." "Captain, that will not help. They will destroy your ship in seconds." "Not if we're fast enough." Looked at his crew. "I need you to do something you were never trained for. Forget everything they taught you about proper combat tactics. No honor, no fair fighting, no rules. We're going to fight dirty." His eyes widened. "Sir, you grew up on Earth. You know the old stories, David and Goliath, guerrilla warfare, underdogs who won because they didn't fight fair." Leaned forward. These drones expect us to act like the big, strong, honorable. We're going to show them what humans do when we're scared. A slow smile spread across his face. Yes, sir. The drones came in fast, opened fire, but instead of trying to hit them, he targeted the asteroids nearby. Explosions sent rocks flying in all directions. Drones swerved to avoid the debris, their formation breaking apart. Evasive pattern Alpha 7. That's not a real pattern, sir. I know, make something up, be random, confuse them. The persistence twisted and turned, moving in ways that made no sense. It dodged left when it should have gone right. It accelerated when it should have braked. The drones, programmed to predict enemy movements, kept firing at empty space. They're adapting, warned, getting better at predicting us. Then change it up, pattern Delta 9. Sir, that's not. I know, just do something different. The ship spun wildly, was improvising, using every trick she knew and inventing new ones. The swarm drones couldn't get a lock. Every time they thought they had the persistence, the human ship would do something unexpected. But it couldn't last. There were too many drones. The shields were failing. Warning alarms screamed from every console. Shields at 10%, reported. A drone got through, its weapon tearing into the ship's hull. The persistence shook violently. Sparks flew from a console, and Minu rushed to put out a small fire. Shields gone, shouted. Made another crazy decision. Ram them. What? Stared at him. You heard me, full speed. Hit that group of drones on the left. The persistence accelerated. It smashed into 3 drones, crushing them against the ship's reinforced nose. Metal screamed. More alarms went off, but the drones were destroyed. This is insane, muttered, but she was smiling. We're next. They fought like cornered animals. When the plasma cannon overheated, they rammed more drones. When the hull breached in a new section, they vented the atmosphere to create a cloud that blocked enemy sensors. When the engines started to fail, they used the ship's gravitational pull to slingshot around asteroids. Across the galaxy, council members watched in stunned silence. This wasn't how battles were supposed to go. This wasn't honorable or tactical. This was desperate, dirty street fighting. And somehow it was working. The swarm lost 30 drones, then 50, then 70, but the persistence was dying too. Life support was failing. The engine room was on fire. Half the systems were offline. Captain said quietly, "We're not going to make it." Knew she was right. They had done better than anyone could have expected, but there were still hundreds of drones left. The persistence had nothing more to give. Then the space around them lit up with weapons fire. Council ships dropped out of hyperspace. Dozens of them. Cruisers, destroyers, fighters. They tore into the swarm with everything they had. The carrier tried to escape, but a battleship cut it off and blew it apart. The battle ended in minutes. The Council fleet made quick work of the remaining drones. The swarm was destroyed. Slumped in his chair, Did we survive?" "Yes, sir," said. He was laughing and crying at the same time. "We actually survived." Commander's face appeared on the. Behind him could see warriors celebrating. "Captain, I have fought for 60 years, and I have never seen anything like what you just did. No warrior would have fought that way." "That's because we're not warriors," said. He was so tired he could barely keep his eyes open. "We're humans. We don't have armor or strength or long lives. What we have is fear. And we learned a long time ago that when you're afraid, when you're weak, when you have no chance of winning, that's when you fight the hardest." The Council flagship appeared on screen. The Council leader, a tall alien with silver skin, spoke. "Human vessel persistence, this is the Council. We are sending medical ships to you immediately. Your crew needs treatment." "Thank you," managed to say. "Captain, we gave you an order to retreat. You disobeyed." "Yes, sir, we did." "You violated direct orders. You endangered your crew. You risked your ship on a rescue mission that should have been impossible. The council leader paused. And you succeeded where no other species would have even tried. The council will need to discuss this. The screen went dark. Help to his feet. Medical ships are on the way. We're going to be okay. Looked at his crew. They were burned, bleeding, exhausted, and sick from radiation. But they were alive, and they had saved 347 warriors who would have died. Yeah, said, we're going to be okay. The medical bay was clean and white and quiet. Hated it. He had been lying in this bed for 3 weeks now, watching treatment slowly repair the damage the radiation had done to his cells. The doctors said he was lucky. Another hour in that engine room and the damage would have been permanent. Was 2 beds down, reading a book on her tablet. Minyu and had been released a week ago, though they still came back for daily treatments. Was the only one who hadn't needed much help. She had stayed in the corridor during the repairs, treating everyone else while taking minimal exposure herself. You have a visitor, Captain, a nurse said. Sat up expecting another council official. Instead, Commander walked in. The big warrior looked strange without his armor, wearing a simple gray uniform instead. Commander said, I didn't expect to see you here. Pulled up a chair, it creaked under his weight. I wanted to check on you before the hearing tomorrow. How are you feeling? Like I swallowed a nuclear reactor, managed a smile. But I'll live. The doctors say full recovery in another month. Good was quiet for a moment. I also wanted to thank you properly, without the chaos of battle. You already thanked us several times. Words are not enough, leaned forward. You saved my crew, 347 lives. In my culture, that creates a debt that can never be fully repaid. Shifted uncomfortably. We just did what anyone would do. No, that is the point. Anyone would not have done it. The council ordered you to retreat. Logic said you should run. Your own safety demanded it, but you came anyway. Eyes were intense. Why? I have been trying to understand for 3 weeks. Why would you risk everything for strangers? For a species that voted against you joining the council? Thought about how to answer. On Earth, we have a saying, we're all in this together. It means that when someone is in trouble, you help them. Not because they helped you first. Not because you'll get something in return. You help because that's what good people do. Even if it costs you everything. Especially then, that's when it matters most. Shook his head slowly. They are warriors. We understand honor, courage, sacrifice in battle, but what you did, that was something else. You were not fighting for territory or revenge or glory. You were fighting just to save lives, even at the cost of your own. Is that so strange? To us, yes, stood up. But perhaps that is why the galaxy needs humans. We have been warriors for so long we forgot there are other kinds of strength. He headed for the door, then stopped. Tomorrow at the hearing there will be those who want to punish you for disobeying orders. I will speak in your defense. So will my entire crew. Whatever happens, know that they will not forget what you did. After Left spoke from her bed. You nervous about tomorrow? Terrified, admitted. They might kick us out of the council. They might ground the whole human fleet. We broke a direct order. We saved lives. I know, but I'm not sure that matters to them. The next day, stood before the Galactic Council. The chamber was massive, with seats rising up in circles for all 47 member species. Felt very small standing in the center, looking up at hundreds of alien faces. The council leader, a being called High Speaker of the species, spoke first. Captain of Earth, you are here to answer for violations of direct council orders. You were commanded to retreat from Sector 779. Instead, you engaged a hostile force. Explain yourself. Took a breath. We received the order. We understood it. But we also saw a council ship with 347 crew members about to die. We decided that saving lives was more important than following orders. A murmur went through the chamber. High Speaker's face was unreadable. They were an ancient species, slow and careful in all things. Your ship was a survey vessel, continued. You were not equipped for combat. You endangered your crew needlessly. 4 of your people suffered severe radiation poisoning. Your ship was nearly destroyed. All of this could have been avoided if you had simply followed orders. That's true, said, but then the crew would be dead. The Council fleet was en route. They could have handled the situation. They were 4 hours away. They had 90 minutes of life support. The math doesn't work. Another council member spoke up. This one was from a species covered in blue scales. The human makes a fair point, High Speaker, that would have perished before help arrived. That is not the issue, replied. The issue is whether we can trust a species that ignores direct orders. What if next time their disobedience leads to disaster? What if their recklessness endangers others? Felt his frustration rising. With respect, High Speaker, we didn't act recklessly. We assessed the situation and made a choice. We chose to help. A choice that nearly killed you. Yes, Met's eyes, and we would make the same choice again. The chamber erupted in noise. Some species seemed angry, others looked thoughtful. A few were talking excitedly among themselves. Commander stood up from the section. High Speaker, may I address the council? Nodded. I am commander of the Eternal Conquest. I have served the fleet for 60 years. I have won battles against every major hostile force in this galaxy, but I had never seen anything like what the humans did. His voice carried through the chamber. They came when everyone else ran. They endured radiation that would kill any of us. They fought a battle they had no hope of winning. And they did it all to save people they had never met, people whose species voted against them. Turn to look at. The humans are not the strongest species. They are not the or the longest lived, but they have something we seem to have lost. They have the will to do what is right, even when it costs them everything, especially when it costs them everything. More murmuring, saw some council members nodding. Then spoke up from where she stood with the rest of the Persistence crew. High Speaker, may I add something? Speaker. Humans are fragile, we know that. We break easily. We die young compared to most of you. We feel pain more than species with armor or thick skin. But that's exactly why we understand the value of life. His voice was steady. We know how precious it is because we know how easily it can be lost. Every human carries that knowledge. It's why we fight so hard to protect life, even when it's not our own. High Speaker was quiet for a long moment. What you describe sounds noble, but it also sounds dangerous. A species that acts on emotion rather than logic. A species that takes risks without calculating the cost. How can we trust humans in the council if you cannot follow simple orders? Felt his heart sink. This wasn't going well. Then another voice spoke. It was old and raspy, turned to see an ancient being in the upper seats. This was Elder of the Wisdom species, one of the oldest in the galaxy. High Speaker, Elder said slowly, perhaps you are asking the wrong question. What question should I ask? Not whether we can trust humans to follow orders, but whether we can trust ourselves to give the right orders. The ancient being leaned forward. We told the humans to abandon that order would have resulted in 347 deaths. The humans disobeyed and saved them all. Which was the better outcome? The chamber went silent. Sometimes, Elder continued, the most valuable species is not the one that always obeys. It is the one that knows when the rules need to be broken. High Speaker looked troubled. This council will take a recess to discuss. We will reconvene in 1 hour with a decision. Waited outside with his crew. An hour felt like a year. 6 months had passed since the hearing. The council had decided not to punish his crew. Instead, they did something unexpected. They promoted him and assigned the Persistence to a joint task force studying the Void Swarm. The council wanted to understand this ancient enemy before it attacked again. Stood on the bridge of the rebuilt Persistence. The ship looked the same on the outside, but inside it was better than ever. The Council had upgraded their engines, shields, and weapons. They had also assigned new crew members from other species. Commander was now their security liaison. The big warrior had asked to join permanently. "I want to learn how humans think," he had said. "It might keep me alive next time." Called from her station. "Captain, we're approaching the research site the old swarm base Elder told us about." The task force consisted of 5 ships, including 2 research vessels. They had been searching for 6 months, following ancient records and rumors. Finally, they had found it, a dead space station floating in an empty region of space. "Any signs of activity?" asked. "Negative," reported. "The place has been dead for thousands of years." "Then let's go take a look." The boarding party included, and 2 scientists named and. They entered the ancient station carefully, their helmet lights cutting through the darkness. The station was huge, bigger than any human city, but it was silent and cold. Their footsteps echoed in empty corridors. "This place gives me chills," said. "The swarm built this before most of our species even existed," explained. "They were one of the first civilizations in the galaxy. They should have been great. Instead, they became destroyers." They found what they were looking for in a central chamber. Ancient computers, still powered by some eternal battery, worked carefully, accessing the old data files. "I'm getting something," she said. "Battle records, thousands of them. The swarm attacked everyone, but look at this pattern." Studied the holographic display. They always went for the strongest targets first. Exactly. The swarm evaluated every species based on military strength. Warriors with the best weapons, the strongest ships, the most powerful armies. Those were attacked first and destroyed completely. "What about weaker species?" asked. "Ignored, or attacked last almost as an afterthought." Pulled up more data. The swarm's entire strategy was built on eliminating threats in order of strength. Felt something click in his mind. They're still using the same strategy. When they attacked the Eternal Conquest, they focused on you first because you're warriors. When we showed up, they only sent a few drones because we registered as weak. "That's why your tactics worked," said excitedly. "The swarm couldn't predict you because their programming doesn't account for weak species being dangerous. You're outside their threat assessment model." Was reading more files. "Captain, look at this. The swarm has a central intelligence, a core system that controls all the drones. It's hidden somewhere in the dark sector. If we could destroy it, we might stop the entire swarm." "The Council has been trying to find it for decades," said. "That region is too dangerous, too many swarm ships." Stared at the data, an idea forming. It was crazy, possibly suicidal, but it might work. "What if that's exactly why we should go there?" he said slowly. Everyone turned to look at him. "Think about it. The swarm ignores weak targets. Humans are considered the weakest species in the Council. If we went into the dark sector in human ships, the swarm might not even notice us until we're right on top of their core." "That's insane," said, but he was smiling. The swarm would never expect weak humans to attack their stronghold. "It's risky," warned. "If they do notice you, you'll be destroyed instantly." "That's why we need to be fast and quiet," said. "In and out before they know we're there." They brought the plan back to the Council. The chamber erupted in argument. Half the Council thought it was brilliant. The other half thought it was suicide. High Speaker stood up. "Captain, you are proposing to take human ships into the most dangerous region of space, to attack the swarm's core with survey vessels and small cruisers. You understand that if you fail, there will be no rescue, no support. The Council cannot risk a full fleet in that region." "I understand," said. "You could die. Your entire species' presence in the Council could be ended before it truly begins." "I know." Studied him carefully. "Why would you take this risk?" Thought about the question. He thought about the past 6 months, about the friends he had made among the other species. He thought about Commander and the crew they had saved. He thought about Elder, who had spoken up for humans when it mattered. "Because this is what humans do," said finally. "We see a problem that needs solving and we solve it, even if it scares us, especially if it scares us. Fear is an old friend for humans. It's kept us alive this long, and now maybe it can keep all of us alive." The council voted. It was close, but the motion passed. Humans would lead the mission into the dark sector. 3 weeks later stood on the bridge of the Persistence again. This time, 4 other human ships flew with him. Small, quiet, not very powerful. Exactly the kind of ships the swarm would ignore. "Entering the dark sector now," reported. The space around them turned black. This region had no stars, no light. Just darkness and swarm drones patrolling in set patterns. "Cutting engines to minimum," whispered, though there was no sound in space. "Going passive." They drifted through the darkness like ghosts. Swarm drones passed within 100 meters, their sensors sweeping. But they didn't attack. The humans didn't register as threats. "I can't believe this is working," whispered. "Don't jinx it," replied. It took 6 hours of silent drifting before they found it. The swarm core, a massive structure at the center of the dark sector. It pulsed with dark energy, sending signals to swarm ships across the galaxy. "That's it," confirmed. "Every swarm drone is connected to that thing." "Can we destroy it?" asked. "If we hit it with everything we have, all 5 ships firing at once maybe. But the moment we fire, every swarm drone in this sector will know we're here." "How long until they reach us?" 3 minutes, maybe less. Looked at the faces of his crew. They were scared. So was he, but they had come too far to turn back now. "All ships, this is Captain. Charge weapons. On my mark, fire everything at those coordinates. Then run like hell." The 5 human ships powered up their weapons. Alarms immediately started going off across the dark sector. Swarm drones began turning toward them. "Fire!" shouted. 20 plasma cannons fired at once. The beams converged on the swarm core. The ancient structure shuddered, cracked, and exploded in a burst of dark energy that lit up the entire sector. "Go, go, go!" yelled. The human ships ran. Behind them, hundreds of swarm drones gave chase. But something strange was happening. The drones were slowing down, their movements becoming erratic. Without the core to guide them, they were just machines following old programming. One by one, the drones stopped moving entirely. They floated dead in space. "Captain," said, her voice shaking, "I'm reading swarm ships across the galaxy. They're all going offline, all of them. We did it. We actually did it." The bridge of the Persistence erupted in cheers. Even was shouting, his war cry echoing through the corridors. Slumped in his chair, exhausted and relieved and unable to believe what they had just accomplished. The communication system came alive with messages from across the galaxy. Council ships reporting that the swarm was gone. Entire fleets that had been fighting for their lives suddenly found their enemies dead in space. High Speaker appeared on the. For the first time since had met him, the Ancient was smiling. "Captain, the Council has monitored your mission. The swarm is gone, completely eliminated. You have saved the galaxy." "We just did what needed doing, High Speaker." "No, Captain, you did what we could not. You saw a solution that our strength blinded us to." Paused. "The Council has voted. Humanity is granted full membership with all rights and responsibilities. No more provisional status. You are one of us now." Felt emotions he couldn't quite name. Pride, relief, joy, fear, hope. "Thank you, High Speaker." "No, Captain, thank you. You have shown us something we had forgotten. That strength is not just about power. It is about courage, about doing what is right when it is hard, about fighting even when you are afraid." His expression grew thoughtful. "Perhaps that is the greatest strength of all." The transmission ended. Looked at his crew, at the friends and family he had found among the stars. Was wiping tears from her eyes. "We did it. We really did it. Yeah, said softly, we did. Put a heavy hand on shoulder. I once asked you why humans take such risks. I think I understand now. It is not about being fearless. It is about being afraid and doing it anyway. That's right, said. Fear is an old friend. It keeps us honest. It keeps us careful. But it doesn't stop us. Nothing stops us. The Persistence set course for home, followed by its sister ships. Behind them, the dark sector was finally empty of threat. Ahead of them, the galaxy was open and waiting. Humans had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same.